whenever there's a revolution that happens within society, it's never that it starts with a majority. It'll start with 1, 10, 100 enlightened individuals, and that will bring about a transformation. And then at some point of time, the minority view reaches a critical mass and it becomes a view that's now recognized by the majority. That's how the slave trade was abolished. That's how smoking in public places has finished in many countries. So we've had indicators of this. And so here again, if people who are being victimized, who are the target of discrimination, if individuals begin to respond differently, and instead of reacting with anger or sorrow or any other negative response, if they're able to hold their own inner dignity, I think there's a very strong message that's being sent out, and I think situations change. It was like Mandela. He didn't tell the people in South Africa to react with anger. He told people to react with forgiveness. And one man was able to shift the consciousness of a nation and at that time avert the tragedy of a civil war. I was in South Africa a lot in those days, and so I saw the shift happen. And so I'm very convinced that when there's a shift within one individual, it doesn't stay restricted to one. It impacts their family, their community, and it's able to spread out further and further. And so I think that yes, there can be a shift. Am I going to continue to live my life in fear? You know, fear is something that happens in the mind, but fear is something that also happens in the body. When my body is reacting to the fear that I'm feeling in my mind, it's a very, very unhealthy situation. The whole physiology has changed and it's not very helpful. And there'll always be people who don't want to understand these things. No problem. It's okay. I love them. But there are also people who will want to understand things differently so that their own responses can be different also. I've seen that external change isn't making any difference to how I feel and how I'm responding. And so I ask myself the question, is there a different way to deal with all of this? And then I go on that inner journey of understanding and changing. Yeah. And so I think that really if we want to have a world without discrimination, a world without bullying, then what we have to do is to practice this ourselves, but also share this with our families, our children and others. Come back to the inner dignity of the self and the value of the self.